Elephants, some of the most intelligent creatures on the planet. With cognitive abilities rivaling that of other highly intelligent animals such as dolphins and apes, elephants are incredibly fascinating. They are highly social and altruistic, meaning that they are greatly concerned with the well-being of others. Nothing makes this more clear than the almost human-like grief and sorrow they display at the death of a herd member, going so far as to covering the deceased with branches, leaves and dirt while remaining by their side for several days. This altruistic behavior even extends beyond their own species, as there are countless documented incidents of elephants attempting to aid wounded people or even mourning deceased humans as one of their own. However, this respectful and intelligent behavior may soon be a thing of the past. For many decades now, illegal poaching and extensive habitat loss has created an increasingly turbulent environment for all of elephant society. So much so that reports of unprovoked and lethal elephant attacks are now commonplace and rapidly increasing all over Africa, India and Southeast Asia. Biologists and other experts believe this abnormal level of aggression to be an unforeseen side effect caused by humanity's continued mistreatment of the species. You see, much like us humans, young elephants need guidance and time to learn from their elders. Cows need to learn how to behave, how to communicate, what to eat and what not to eat, what's dangerous and what's safe, and the list goes on. I mean, it should go without saying, but children need their parents. However, due to illegal poaching, a lot of cows become orphans at an early age, and thus their natural development is interrupted. Not only that, but because of their intelligence and strong familial bonds, seeing their loved ones being brutally massacred and mutilated right in front of them is about as traumatic as it would be for you and me. These events can significantly impair normal brain development and cause hyperaggression and unpredictable behavior, similar to that of people suffering from PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. So not only is humanity slowly driving the species towards extinction, but due to our ruthless means of doing so, we may also be responsible for their mental, societal and intellectual decline in the process. Okay, let's forget about humanity's failures for a second. It's just too depressing. Let's focus on one of nature's failures, like the platypus. An animal that would honestly make a lot more sense if it was inspired by Psyduck than the other way around. The platypus is one of the only 5 remaining species of monotremes. Monotremes are mammals that lay eggs as opposed to giving live birth and are endemic to Australia. It was discovered by European explorers in 1798 and a specimen was later examined by zoologist George Shaw. Its strange appearance and features made Shaw question whether or not this was a hoax. Again, how can you not? It looks like a reversed beaver. He writes in a scientific journal from 1799 that of all the mammalia yet known, it seems the most extraordinary in its conformation, exhibiting the perfect resemblance of the beak of a duck and grafted on the head of a quadruped. He also writes, it naturally excites the idea of some deceptive preparation by artificial means. So, in more modern terms, was this just another social experiment by some 18th century YouTube prankster, or could this specimen truly be that of a real creature? Evidence for its existence and its supposed egg-laying capabilities remained highly debated topics for almost a century. Of course, we now know that this Scrooge McDuck-looking Pokemon template of an animal is more real than your hopes and dreams. How do you tell a lion from a lioness? No, besides looking at their genitals. Most would argue that the easiest way to tell them apart is that a male lion has a mane while the females do not. However, this isn't always true. Multiple maned lionesses and maneless lions have been observed in select regions across Africa. Experts believe increased and decreased levels of testosterone to be the cause, and in the case of maned lionesses, it may prove to be quite advantageous. You see, a lion pride consists of multiple adult females, cubs, and a small number of adult males. The amount of males in a pride is directly proportional to how threatening that pride will seem to outsiders. So if the maned lionesses are perceived as males, they may actually boost the pride's overall threat level. It's a perfect example of how random genetic mutations can cause a species to change and evolve over time. This is a rare sight, a fully functional parliament. As strange as it may seem, a parliament is the collective noun for a group of owls. Besides having a permanent "how the hell did I get here" facial expression, owls also have a knack for necks. All 200 plus owl species can rotate their necks and heads up to 270 degrees, which makes humans and owls the only two species capable of doing this. The only difference is that when humans do it, we die. Owls are able to survive such extreme neck twisting as they have 14 cervical vertebrae, while many other vertebrates have a lot fewer. For example, we humans only have a laughable 7. Like many other nocturnal species, owls do not have eyeballs, instead they have eye tubes. This peculiar shape allows for exceptional night vision. However, as the eyes are non-spherical, they are completely fixed in their sockets, which is why owls need such flexible necks. If you live to be 90 years old, you will be older than people who have yet to reach or surpass that age. You will also have spent 32 of those years asleep. Instead of dreaming about your dreams, that's 32 years you could have spent awake, not achieving your dreams. But if you're a dolphin or a duck, sleep isn't half as wasteful. A few select aquatic and avian species has developed what's known as unihemispheric sleep, which is the ability to sleep with one half of the brain while the other half remains awake. This ability can be quite beneficial for different reasons. In the case of unihemispheric sleep-capable birds, such as chickens and ducks, they literally sleep with one eye open. This allows them to constantly keep an eye out for potential predators, and it's 100% adorable. On the other hand, various aquatic animals, such as dolphins, aquaman and whales, use this ability to surface for air even when they are half asleep. It's been widely scientifically unproven that if humans had this ability, we would spend this extra time speculating over what we would do if we had more time. When ants sporadically roam about in search for food, they can travel as far as 200 meters from their nest. To avoid getting lost, most ant species leave scent trails and can thus smell their way back home. They can also keep track of directions using the position of the sun, and by combining this information, they can work out the shortest path back to the nest. But in certain environments, this method of navigation is not an option. Such is the case for the desert ant. The featureless landscape, along with the windy conditions of the Saharan desert, completely negates the use of scent trails. Instead, they've learned to count the number of steps they take to keep track of travel distance, a sort of internal pedometer. You may be wondering, how could we possibly know this? Well, a team of researchers observed as a group of ants slowly made their way towards a piece of food. Once they arrived, the ants were collected and experimented upon. 25 of the ants received stilts, and another 25 had their legs shortened. As the ants made their way back home, something interesting was observed. The stilt-legged ants overshot the nest by more than 50%, while the amputated ants undershot the nest by nearly as much. In other words, they must be using an internal step counter to keep track of travel distance. Male humpback whales can spend more than 24 hours continuously repeating the same 10 to 20 minute song. So what you're listening to may be one of the hottest mixtapes to hit the blue market. Either that or Chewbacca is in dire need of help. The purpose behind these extensive musical performances largely remains a mystery. Researchers believe it could be to attract females, to challenge other males, or a form of echolocation. Or perhaps, and I may be going out on a fin here, perhaps they just love to sing, right? It wasn't part of any of the scientific articles I could find, but surely it's a possibility worth considering at least. The ocean is a pretty big place. Maybe this is how they pass the time. I mean, we sing in the shower just to pass the time, and whales live in the shower. So I don't know, I feel like they jumped the whale on this one, like they avoided the whale in the room. I guess now the whale is out of the bag. Okay, I'm sorry. What we do know is that these songs often spread amongst humpback whale society, much the same way the latest pop music can spread across the globe in our human society. It begins with a localized population of whales producing a unique string of melodies, and after roughly 2 years' time, the song has moved between numerous whale populations across the Pacific. Each year a new viral hit takes form, and the underwater music industry continues to thrive. Ah, the very face of freedom itself. Few things can better symbolize American patriotism than the bald eagle. As the national animal of the United States of America, this bird has become known as an American symbol, and it has an equally iconic sound. The problem is, this is not the sound of a bald eagle. Credit should instead go to another North American bird known as the red-tailed hawk. Whenever a bald eagle made an appearance in the early days of television, it was often dubbed over with a powerful scream of the red-tailed hawk, as it has a rather unimpressive screech of its own. This is what the bald eagle unfortunately sounds like. Bees are capable of flapping their tiny wings with an astonishing speed. Their wing beat frequency has been recorded at 230 flaps per second. It's so fast that the flapping generates a positive electrical charge. And they can actually use this ability to their advantage, as the pollen they collect from flowers is normally negatively charged and will thus be electrostatically attracted to the bee. Furthermore, it was recently discovered that bees can actually detect the presence of floral electrical fields. What this means is that bees can fly over a meadow and quickly determine if a flower has already been visited or not, depending on the electrical charge of the flower. Sloths, the traffic jams of the animal kingdom, nature's response to slow-motion photography. Actually, why is this shot filmed in slow motion? Did I just spend $50 on stock footage that looks like a sloth PowerPoint presentation? Oh, don't blink or you might miss nothing. Nothing is happening. The idleness of sloths is how they conserve energy. The reason they need to conserve energy is due to their frugivorous diet, which means they mostly eat leaves. These leaves provide very little energy and nutrients and take up to a month to digest completely. In fact, when this guy is satisfied, roughly 2/3 of his body weight consists of leaves. Almost anything else would be less of a struggle to consume. You live in the goddamn jungle with tasty fruit and insects all around, yet semi-edible leaves is your food of choice. Truly the face of brilliance. About once a week, the sloth descends from above for a quick toilet break. And by quick, I mean slow. It climbs down, digs a hole in the ground, defecates, covers the hole with leaves, and climbs back up to safety. Now, you may be wondering, why would they not just simply hang from a tree branch and let gravity do the rest? Well, you're not alone, as no one truly knows. Perhaps it's to fertilize their favorite tree, to prevent the brown from making sounds as it falls to the ground, or maybe, and this is my personal theory, they're just a bit slow. And this defecation ritual is truly bizarre, as more than half of all sloth deaths occurs when they climb down to poop. They are slowly pooping their way to extinction. speaking of poop, they also like to eat it. No, not their own, that would be disgusting. Only the most pungent of stenches, oozing from an overflowing human latrine, can drive them down from the treetops. In it they will bathe and fill their stomachs to the brim with human waste. The majesty of the sloth is truly unrivaled.